All right, so welcome to Tea Kink. Today we have Miss Foxx.
Hello.
Who is a premier UK dominatrix specializing in findom, which is financial domination. And we are having afternoon tea in London.
Oh my god, I've already started.
Which is a little bit different to my normal stuff where I usually pour Chinese tea ceremony for people, but I mean, you gotta do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so you're drinking something that hasn't arrived yet.
When it arrives, it's the Japanese tea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a hojicha, which is a roasted rice tea with green tea leaves also.
I'm excited. I've never tried it before.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's very comforting. But what I'm drinking is a Darjeeling, and it's a very popular style that the English stole from, Asia. Well, they appropriated it.
English didn't steal anything, did they? Did they steal? I can't believe that.
Yeah, so, I'm drinking it in honor of the world moving back to China. Good luck, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've been really excited to do this one with you, actually.
Oh, thank you. I've been excited too. Really excited. Yes, it's been a while since I've seen you.
In Bali.
Yeah.
But also, you have a lot of qualities that I really admire that I don't know how to do myself, So it's like, you gave me some very sweet advice when we were together last, and it made me think of a lot of different things. We can maybe go into that later. But in general, I feel like you have like a power where you can speak your mind and assert yourself and kind of spot injustice and speak up about it, as well as like even sensationalize some things, and I'm not very good at doing any of those things.
But it doesn't mean you have to, though.
No, but it means that I notice. Yeah, it means that I really notice, and sometimes when I see the things that you're saying on Twitter, I'm like, that's true, but holy shit.
And I think a lot of the times when I do say things, people know it, people see it, but I'm the one to say it. And that's what's the difference is, and they know it to be true. And even there are people obviously in denial, there are people who are denialists, if that's a word. But with me, I'm never out to impress anybody. I'm just me. I just do my thing and I log off. I carry on with my life. It's not so. I don't have any personal social media at all. Like all of my friends are in my phone. To me, it's just a job, and I'm a man again and again. I'm just very opinionated anyway in life. So
it's just your personal
that's it. So I love traveling. Again, I'm open to lots of different experiences, talking to lots of people. I'm very social. And I think that kind of adds to my persona, even as a dominatrix as well. I like to engage in my sessions. I like to have conversations. I mean, obviously, particularly me as being a black woman, I have subs obviously submitting to me because they're black, and they'll talk again about the different culture between us, white slaves and black dominatrices and mistresses. So,
and I guess like it's clear to us because we're in the industry, but for other people, why is it so obvious that they're submitting to you because you're black?
History. That's all it is. It's history. It's if you're familiar with the term white man's guilt, they experience a lot of it. Most of my subs that come to me, they always talk about the injustices that black people have experienced. One of my recent slaves said he actually was connected to slave owners. He actually has it in his heritage. So it was a big thing for him to submit himself to me. Some of them also, lovely, thank you, have also experienced and seen firsthand the treatment of black people, whether they've worked in all black environments or had black colleagues where they felt that they haven't been treated the same way, or even actually any minorities, not even just black, and it's been a learning journey for me, because doing this over 6 years, I've seen so much, and it is a case of like 95% of the men that engage with me are white men, they are, so you can't ignore that fact. Facts are facts. I think, and at this point now, obviously, they know it's the time for them to be able to they feel comfortable enough now to be able to express that side of themselves. And I think Now, with the younger generation coming through, and if they have the same guilt, we are much more open as a society to welcome that. So I think and I think generally in kink, I like the fact that kink actually is becoming more open. I like the fact that it's becoming more spoken about. I like the fact that there are more and more people. And I actually had a conversation with someone recently who's actually been on the scene for many years, maybe like 40, 50 years. And she was telling me about the scene, how it used to be before, about how it was obviously very underground. It was, you had to know someone to know someone to know someone to have an experience. And I was asking her about the pluses and minuses of it. And so she's kind of in both ways. She likes the new, but she also likes the old as well at the same time. For that reason, she liked the hidden side of it, but at the same time, she likes the way that we all are progressing and understanding it more. So, I mean, me personally, in my life, when I've spoken to people who are my friends or strangers, they're much more interested. They're like, oh, tell us about that. What does that mean? And what do you do with that? And I think also because I don't want this to come across derogatory or anything, but I class myself as kind of like a vanilla dom, as in I'm not 100% kinky all the time. So me and my life and my
lifestyle.
friends, I'm like I still have my friends, and I still I don't have 100% relationships with kinksters all the time. I have my friends and family and all that kind of stuff, and the way I talk about things, because I've even spoke to other girls recently who are like, I've lost friends because I don't talk about other stuff that's outside kink. I'm like, well, that again maybe is isolating. It's isolating because people also don't understand what we do. But if you can still connect with them on a vanilla level, then things might be a bit easier to be able to progress and change. Because my friends, I say, we all talk about it, but it's not all we talk about.
As long as you're aware of what and then you...
I'm massively aware, and actually to talk about mental health, I have experienced depression for most of my life actually. Growing up, my childhood and family wasn't great, and now how I deal with that, and I think I say something sometimes, and I say them because I believe them to be true. I think most people are fighting to be happy. Like I think generally as a human race, for some reason, the way we're programmed is the default is negativity, which is such a shame. And because you don't say, oh, how are you feeling? You're happy? It's like you want to hear the happiness in somebody. You don't want to hear the sadness.
Especially here.
Yes.
Like when I first moved here a few years ago, they always, what's that phrase that they use? It's like not how's it going, or it's something like that. It's they're saying hello, but it's like asking for it.
How you doing? How are you?
Yeah, not even how are you, but just like a really like maybe I was hanging around people with a lot of slang or something. But there's more how's it going or something. And nobody wanted an answer. And whenever I would answer, and be like, oh, it's okay. I don't like the weather here.
Because that is very
that's
blasé.
not the question.
It's a very, very blasé kind of word, because even if you're not fine, people expect you to say, I'm fine. They don't actually say, unless you're with somebody that you trust, you don't say, oh well, this and this and this and this. People don't really talk about their problems, whereas I do. I'm very vocal about my problems. I like to keep my problems to a minimum, and I'm very aware of that because of my previous experience that I dealt with. But even recently, actually, I found myself in quite a low place actually, but the way that I deal with it is I talk to my friends about it. I actually therapize myself, and I put notes around my house, and I say, right, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, you do this, you're going to get back on track. I'm very good at motivating myself and realizing when there's a problem. And I think that I also take time in that space to credit myself also, because I know that it's hard for a lot of people to even admit that when there's something wrong, and I can do that, and I feel very... I can get myself out.
Oh, no way.
Yes. No way. I'm like, yes.
This looks so good.
It's so pretty.
I don't remember it looking this good.
Vegan pastries.
These are only for
These are yours.
These are not for you.
I will explain you everything.
Okay.
Here we have the brownie.
That's
This
so
one
pretty.
is the mango cake.
Oh my god,
Next one is the banana cookie. The raspberry tart. Hazelnut cake. This one is the mandarin cheesecake.
That's so
with
good.
dragon's fruit on the top. and the orange cake.
Wow.
Your chef has done very well with this.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Are you really?
No.
I'm taking the credit.
I can do that. No. And here you have the jams.
Yes.
With orange marmalade.
Thank
This
you
one
so
is
much.
rose petal jelly.
This is amazing.
Thank you. This is
really
gorgeous.
good. Really good.
And this is for you, madam.
That's for
Thank
you.
you. Is that just my one?
That's just
Where's the
only-
rest?
You don't
No,
get
no,
no,
I will not.
nothing. Nothing more for you.
Thank you.
But I gotta show the camera.
Yeah, that is amazing. Look at it. Look at that beauty. The vegan version as well.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
We didn't know, and then we found out.
Yeah, last time I came, I definitely was not vegan.
I'm excited for mine though. Look at this. I've got a nice little finger thing with some. You didn't tell me what I had though, did you? You just
No.
put it there. But I've got like a gold thing with a note, which is awesome. I'm just going to eat it.
Eat it, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's like a shoe. Not quite a shoe, but there's a little chocolate, a little bit of chocolate inside.
Maybe on the inside.
There's a little bit of chocolate. I think I just ate all of it in that one bite.
Oh my
There you go.
This is the regular one.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
This one is coming.
Yeah. Thank you. Lovely, thank you.
And here you have your scones with a lot of cream and the jams. The first one is rose petal jelly. This one is lemon curd. And strawberry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And your pastries, you have the apple tatin here. This one is espresso down with tiramisu, manofi peanut, pistachio and cherry cake, and the apricot and almond.
My God, I gotta take a photo.
Thank you. To the end. Oh, that was a really good, whatever that was I just ate. Yeah, it was full of something.
If you don't mind, I would like to feel free to
Yeah.
talk more about, I guess, how people come to you with this white guilt. Like, how do they find you, and then what do they ask for? What is the session like?
Yeah.
And then what do they walk away with?
So people normally find me, either they come to my adult work chat room, so I'm on
Okay,
adult work,
okay.
so I'll be talking, and they will explain something to. They will normally come and say something like, "I believe in black female supremacy." That's how they'll start.
Okay.
And then we'll have a session. Other than that, I've had lots of phone sessions as well. So phone sessions actually, I think, are more where I've actually experienced more of this white guilt, because I don't think some men obviously are confident enough yet to admit it and to be in an actual physical space. Go girl, that's it. So you were asking all these questions before, but you didn't ask a question before you had that one. That was like, I'm going to eat it. You went for it. That was a good bite.
I'm really taking a bite out of everything.
Are you going to sample everything?
I don't know if I can eat it all.
Yeah. It's so good. You better take it home. You're going to take it back to your hotel. You better.
Squeeze it in my
Yeah. It's too good, Julia. It's too good for your sleigh. Keep that. Put it in
It's
there.
pretty good. He booked the hotel.
Okay, that will be his reward.
You can eat it naked on the
You chew
mountain.
it, yeah, if you chew it up first and then eat it up. Oh my god. Oh my nose. So yeah, they come to finish session, a real time session, so if they've met me face to face. They will have already ticked racial humiliation.
Oh, you give them a form?
Yeah.
Alright.
So I know then that that's what they want to explore.
Okay.
But on a phone session, again, I have a racial humiliation line. And sometimes they don't call the racial humiliation line, but I can identify who you are on by your voice. I can tell whether you're Asian, I can tell whether you're black, I can tell whether you're white.
What do I sound like? I mean, we know what
No, you sound American. Really? Yeah. So
The Americans say I sound British.
Are you serious? They tell me I sound Australian, so the Americans don't know anything.
The Americans Sorry, Americans.
Sorry, America. You know it's true.
You're too far away. You can use that excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I won't say what I was going to say next. A lot of them again, they submit their form. I know what it is that they want to explore. On the phone, I will tell them they're a white person, a white man, and there will be yes. And I'll say, do you know the reason why you've called me a black woman today? So I get them to explore that side of things. So they might not necessarily have called my racial humiliation line, but I'll say, and trying to get them to connect to that, and then I'll tell them the reason why. Look, the gold on the lip is amazing. Actually, gold. It's actually gold on the lip. Yeah, you see it right there. It's actually gold leaf. That's like the fanciest bit of on a lip I've ever seen. Actual gold. Still there a bit. Yeah, so I get them to open up, explore, discover a new side of themselves. I do it also in sessions, like things. Yeah.
Hi, I've come to jerk off. Shit, now I gotta.
No, I'm gonna teach you. I'm educational. I am.
No, it's good.
And even after my real-time sessions, I always say this to them. I always say, you leave here learning something about yourself. So I'm gonna enjoy mine. But no, I think that's how most Findom start, to be honest with you, and especially that Findom is predominantly an online fetish. You become exposed to other things because you start to see what other fetishes there are there. So for me it was like, oh, that looks interesting. I'm intrigued by that. That really is hot. I want to try that. So I think that's where most Findoms end up in their progression, because we discover Findom first and then we discover Femdom. So about, even on that subject, is that people need to know and understand that Twitter, for example, is a Findom's training area.
Okay.
It's not as if you are a session dom or you're a real-time dom where you can learn in the privacy of a dungeon space and it's just you and perhaps another mistress or master that's teaching you the tricks. Findom is literally born and raised now on Twitter, so that's why people have lots of opinions about it, because that's just where they are.
Public.
Yeah, it's so public. So, and I think a lot of people, I think generally, obviously, as humans, we always have opinions about things, and it's a little bit of a shame that people aren't supportive enough of Findoms, because you don't really, it's not really something that you go and train for, do you know what I mean? Like, you don't really find mentors, like you don't, and I think a lot of people don't realise that you can be mentored in a way,
Yeah.
So I think it's not very fair on those people that they're learning and growing and finding their way and having this constant judgment and constant people saying, and I've been guilty of it myself too, where I've said like, well, that's not Findom, that's not this, and then it's like,
Yeah, no, I mean, you can always learn from someone else. Yeah, and there's an art, obviously, to everything, including the way that you utilize money. It's just another tool. Yeah, but the thing is, I really believe that it's a really powerful tool.
Oh my gosh.
Because of everything that surrounds it. Come back to the things that you were talking about in terms of what women can and have not been able to claim, especially I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to money. And it represents not only something that we're not given enough of, but also that people work so hard to achieve.
Yes.
And therefore it translates not only to they're giving me a gift, but they're giving me something
more than that.
They worked so hard, they sweated for.
Exactly.
And so it made like 5 flowers, is different, like a different feeling giving me $5. Okay, it's gonna be a lot more than $5. But just for example,
what it represents. It represents is so huge, and I talk about this constantly, and I have, obviously, me, my threads. We all know that money equals power. We all know that. That's a common saying, and once somebody relinquishes that money to you, they relinquish their power. Like, there's literally nothing more to it than that. That, to me, is the ultimate form of submission, because money is so hard to come by, and by giving that away so willingly to somebody who you want and thinks deserves it more than you, I think that's a beautiful thing. I really do think it's an amazing thing. And if you think about your own experience with money yourself, then you start to be like, that's actually really huge. And we have boys who are literally down to their last pound or dollar or yen or euro or whatever currency, and they are literally so much happier by giving that to somebody else who can put that money to. Sorry, the champagne is beautiful, it's lovely. It's good. And they really feel more confident about letting somebody else take that control and take that And we change the potential narrative of that situation. With with $1, you could turn that. A woman could turn that into $500. Whereas a man, he could probably just squander that away. So
some of my men can definitely multiply their money.
Well, same here too. But that's the right.
I think the key word that you used in that was the changes the narrative.
Yeah. It really does.
And that makes it better not only for the scenario in itself, but if you have a bigger worldview, it changes the whole world, like the whole world.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
But so just before we close up, I wanted to talk about that time where you took your slave into, was it a train station?
Oh, that time.
and
what did I do?
I guess, what was the motivation behind it? And how did you find the reaction? I thought the reaction was a little bit like over the top.
Do you know what? The funny thing was, so I did a whole YouTube video explaining about that day, and I've walked that slave many times before. When I arrived at the train station, immediately he got down on his knees to kiss my boots, and I was like, well, I'm going to walk you today. And I actually was meeting a friend, so we're going to meet in the station and then walk on a clothing around the corner.
Okay.
But because I was waiting for a friend and she hadn't arrived yet, that's when all the stuff started happening. I was like, people are watching, what's going on? I was like, let's turn it into a bit of a crowd. And because and because I'm naturally like quite an exhibitionist, I was like, this turned into a little bit of street performance art. So I just went with what's natural to me, and I embraced it. Yeah, and I embraced it. I embraced the intrigue, and lots of people asking me questions and things like that.
That's great.
The reaction was amazing, and generally, like about 95% of the reaction has actually been amazing. It's been really good. The only negative bit is the people who just don't like me. That is kind of like not sullied it, but they've gone out of their way to
make interesting statements.
Yeah, to make interesting statements that don't even have any jurisdiction anywhere, and they've actually done the same things themselves. So it's very hypocritical, and it's just a personal opinion about me. But I always focus on the positive anyway, so I'm very happy with all of the even vanilla people in the vanilla world who know exactly what it is I was doing. Like on Instagram, that was the first instance that I got highlighted to. So it got, I think it was like 57,000 views by the time I got home off the train, and it was in the black community, so it was actually an urban Instagram account where they were like, reparations sis, this is amazing, and all the black girls were like, where do you get the white man from? And it was amazing. And then where do you buy them? Yeah, where do you get them from? And the guys were just making jokes. They found it funny. Like people found it funny. Nobody really took it seriously. They really didn't. And the biggest problem I actually had was within the kink world.
Isn't that funny?
Isn't it funny? And that we're supposed to be all inclusive and all accepting, but the most judgment generally actually as me as a person has been within the kink world. So
why do you think that is?
I think a lot of people are insecure, and I think a lot of people don't realise that they are. I think a lot of people, if they spent more time actually doing some self-talking and soul-searching, and spending less time on social media, they would start to see things from perhaps a different perspective. There are some people who do thrive also on other negativities. Like you'll see groups of people who all they do is just be negative all the time. And again, it's the drains, it's the people who feel comfort in that emotion because it's very familiar to them. Whereas positivity is more familiar to me, so I gravitate around those sort of people. After that walk, I got invited to the Metro to do a interview, and I have my YouTube channel, but it's very much fetish focused, and I hadn't done things in a while when I'd actually talked about the scene. I did a couple of videos, maybe actually one video, like many years ago. And generally it was just about my slaves and things. So going to the radio station and actually talking about it for the first time was really quite overwhelming to me, and I was like, I just needed to get everything out of my system. Then I went to YouTube and I did my talk very calmly, and I explained everything that happened. But yeah, again, it's been amazing because so many more subs have said, you know, we believe in black female supremacy, we want to do the same thing, but we're not quite there yet. So in terms of how it's like opened up fetish to a wider audience has been amazing, and I'm really pleased with all of the amazing response. It is a shame, obviously, there are people and the same 5 people that happens because it was very small. They will try and rain on the parade, but the majority of people will say it was just a great reaction.
I get so I do this Q&A every month, and one of the questions I was asked, for the last one was, what is the one thing that, you're very passionate about the BDSM community, what's the one thing that would benefit the community that you think would be great for it? And I said that it's normalizing, that people just see sexuality as a huge spectrum, and nobody puts it in a box called BDSM. That would be the best thing that would happen to BDSM. We didn't have to exist in a box. Because then it wouldn't be just the 5 people critiquing, it would be a public conversation about the more nuanced things, such as the black identity, such as being a woman, such as what it was for slavery, and turning the table, and what that means, it's those are much more important things, rather than only talking about taking an act into public. That's not the premise. There's so much more to it. Exactly. And we're caught up because we're put in a tiny little box where everybody's ignoring sexuality as a larger sphere. And so I agree with it massively, and this is why I did my YouTube video, because I know that I have people, and this is why I went to the Metro, because I don't do press, I don't do news. I find particularly they do like to over-sensationalise things, so I pick and choose where I have my platform. So I knew that when I went to the Metro, it was going to be a platform that understands sex. It was actually run by a dominatrix. Miranda Kane, check her out, she's amazing. She actually is a former sex worker, a former dominatrix, so she had her experiences, she taught on that, and she loved the whole thing about it. So I wouldn't want to put myself in a position where I'm instantly going to be judged by people who don't understand me to start with. I want to be put into a place where people are going to be willing, even if they don't understand, they're willing to open up their mind and engage with things. And I think it's very important, because this is why I don't do Channel 4, why I don't do some of those channels, because already you're on the back foot. I want to then be able to speak about things and speak about them on a platform where, again, people are willing to learn. And I think it's good that you're doing this thing now. It's been such a nice time to chat. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And also, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have the guts to ask these kinds of questions in a normal context, but now I get to find out everything.